Здорово.
Hello. There's a lot of us today. Thank you once again for joining us.
Их реально
I have a
очень
bunch of
много.
new faces for you to meet.
Еще и
Very
место
happy
какое-то
and
интересное.
an old friend coming back again.
Хочу обратить внимание сразу на
So I'll
самое
start
важное.
by introducing people.
Никакой
Actually, I'll let you
даты
introduce
сегодня
yourself.
не скажут нам.
My name is Eric Bourdage.
Вам представляются.
I'm a character artist on Dead by Daylight.
That is correct.
3D художник Эрик
Hi,
Бурдаж.
I'm Christoph Young. I'm a concept artist.
Christoph
Specifically
Young.
working on the character concept creation.
Занимается
I'm
концептом
Sebastian Vares. I'm a 3D
персонажей.
animator, also technical animator, but some of you might know me as Ace Viscante's voice.
True story.
Себастьян Варес,
And
3D-аниматор
just,
и
face.
также голос
So,
Эйса.
thank you very much again to
Его мы
a
видели,
bunch of
кстати.
our mods that are here with us, trying to make sure that this doesn't turn into too much of a circus. So thank you, Azayu, Akima, Bucket, Clyde is
Передает
here.
там привет всем модерам, которые помогают держать
Jay
чатик
Myers, okay. Mandy,
нормальным.
Not Queen,
В чатике у
Peanuts,
них.
6, Shiroku, Suggestive, thank you very much for joining us once again and herding the cats. Okay, that was it. So there's a crawler at the bottom there.
Да, сверху
that
есть
bottom,
бегущая
the
строка,
top one.
очень
It says no release
Очевидно.
date announced today. So the people who are just here to hear when will the DLC be released.
Если люди
Not
пришли,
today
чтобы
is the
узнать
answer
только дату релиза DLC-шки, но не сегодня.
Other than that, we're here to talk about the
Dark
new
Knight,
best
yes.
friend that we have in the game, the Spirit. So yeah, that was quite a fun
собственно,
thing
будем
to
говорить,
do. I
да,
think
о
that so
духе,
far
о
the reception has been
создании, её
pretty
создании.
positive. People have enjoyed
Вроде
your
пока
work.
людям
So
нравится
I'm loving the
персонаж.
fan.
yeah,
Lots of
yeah.
fan art.
Фан-арта
It was
очень
beautiful
много
to see
делают.
like the time to fan art has now gone to minutes.
Yeah.
From the moment that teaser got released, actually the teaser led to a few things, but mostly the PTB, like minutes, and there was already some good fan art.
Как только ПТБшка, говорит, вышел,
So
сразу начали
let's start
делать
with the
всякие
first person in
арты.
line here when we talk about new characters. Christophe, take us through your process, please.
Sure. So I was kind of thrown into this project already after its beginning. So as a concept artist and developing the design of the character, most of the big like structural decisions for the character design were already made by the time I got onto the project, because I only joined Behavior about 3 months ago. So I was super fortunate to
недавно
kind
присоединился
of
к
have
проекту,
the
3
opportunity
месяца
to work
назад.
on this awesome character as one of my first like
И,
design projects.
соответственно, Рин была его первым
Yeah, it
концептом,
was super
видимо,
exciting
его
to just be thrown like right into the race like
придуманным
that.
персонажем.
And so the first kind of
Первая
tasks
работа.
that I took on to develop this character were to really develop the mood and the attitude, as well as like the poses and
Первое, чем он занялся, это придумал позы, настроение убийцы.
The direction I got. So we were looking at a young girl, probably between the ages of 18 and 20, who is brutally slaughtered by her father.
Первая идея была, типа, молодая девушка, там, от 18 до 20 где-то лет.
Limbs and things like that. But also going...
So that was Dave usually sitting down with you and telling you.
Yeah, Dave and Phil.
It's always Dave.
Убитая отцом, очень жестоко, разрублена.
As well as like pushing sort of the supernatural side without making it like a ghost. Like we didn't want it to be
Часть
just
тела
your
отрубленной.
stereotypical kind of Casper the ghost. So we tried to push something that had a little more gravity to it, but also showing something a little new for a killer, which is the side of like innocence and the kind of pain of being kind of stuck between reality and the supernatural world.
Также типа показали в ее, по сути в ее персонаже показали новую черту, то что она как бы, она-то жила нормальной жизнью, обычная типа девушка была, и вот так вот застряла в этом мире между яростью.
In your personal life, do you watch horror movies?
I watch like I like sort of the
из-за ярости и сущности
more
типа
like
из-за
psychological thrillers and stuff like that.
Fair enough. But did you watch some specifically for that?
I was definitely, yeah, my art director, well, Phil, was definitely sending me clips of really, really creepy stuff. to get my imagination rolling. But you kind of get used to it.
So do we have a first image, like the first thing you drew?
Yeah, sure.
Есть первая картинка, которую я нарисовал.
Study in silhouettes, more or less.
Yeah, so this was more, it was more of a pose and a silhouette study.
Выбирал позы, силуэты.
Because it's kind of like a supernatural character, we wanted to go for something a little uncanny. So having like the severed limbs sort of point in an odd direction, which wouldn't really fit with like normal joints and stuff, kind of creates that uncanny valley.
То есть уже изначально придумали сразу руки-ноги вот так вот, какие-то отрубленные, которые двигаются отдельно от тела.
There's kind of like a pleasant wander on the, I think it's on your left, and then towards the middle it's more like at peace, and then on the right is kind of just like a totally traumatized, terrifying character.
Справа говорит, типа, самая правая, такая очень напуганная. Слева наоборот, то есть более такая страшная.
But François is the one doing the technical stuff in the background to make sure that things happen properly. So the next image is...
Право не видно из-за чатика.
So the next kind of phase we went through is really working out or brushing up on all the details. So how her power works visually and способности,
как она будет
so there was a lot of experimentation going around.
Много экспериментов было, даже
so
типа
we knew that they were going to
руки
be
складывала.
due to the lore, like her dad threw her out of a window, and you can clearly hear that in the teaser. So we wanted to introduce shards and stuff in her skin embedded in her body.
Добавить стекло в тело, как было, собственно, на тизере, то, что
разбивалось. Shards floating around, or having like vines burrow up her arm in like a really gruesome way.
That's usually the moment when Johnny starts twitching a little bit, freaking out, because he's like, oh, and I have to make sure that this works.
Yeah, but the effects team.
И когда уже вот эти придумали элементы, аниматор такой, боже, это же надо все как-то анимировать.
This is going to be a challenge for me, and everybody's like, yeah, it's going to be a challenge for me. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Для тебя это будет тяжело, типа.
The most collaborative killer we've ever worked on. Like everyone was passing her back and forth, and we all we'd finish a task and then we'd send it over to say Seb would do a task, he'd send it to Isabel would send it back to me.
Isabel is our VFX artist, by the way, for those that you following at home. So the hand, the creepy hand, like movement and things like that was already part of the established thing at the very beginning.
В общем, руки тоже уже
the next one is super interesting to me because it also this at the very beginning I remember Dave saying because we needed the killer to have a weapon.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to have essentially a ghost walking around with a weapon. He's like, that makes no sense.
Соответственно, убийце надо было сделать оружие, но не хотели давать духу, да, который ходит по карте, какое-то материальное оружие.
This is an absolutely awesome idea. The fact that what was it? Her father brutally hitting her with the katana shattered. And some of the remnants of it.
Yeah, well, no, not the breaking, I mean the palm.
Продумали идею, то, что когда ее отец убил, катана немного разбилась.
But also, the idea is if you go in the store and you buy a really cool new weapon, you want to be able to see it, even though it's not there all the time. So having this shard coming out of the hand, either in the middle, in the end, it ended up being on the back of the hand, but the idea was always the same, is that at least you have a sense of that weapon that's always present.
Чувствуешь это оружие, которое всегда с тобой, именно поэтому оставили в руке стекло.
It pops out in the store. So yeah, that idea kind of evolved over time to kind of burrowing in her arm to it kind of disappearing and shattering.
It adds to the whole creepiness.
Yeah,
definitely.
Дату выхода главы назвали, да, сказали, что она не сегодня.
Yeah, so this
И что сегодня ее не скажут.
This was really just a emotion, like a facial study.
И эмоции тоже.
Our killers usually don't have faces.
Yeah, normally it's just like a set.
Обычно у убийц нет, типа,
but for this one, we really wanted to show kind of her tormented nature and have that have her express that through different emotions. So this was really fun to do. how to go from like her calm look to the totally like crazy attack scream.
And when I saw this is when I started sweat bullets. I'm like, oh god, I'm going to rig this.
There are no other killer has facial animations. They have a facial expression, but they don't change usually, right? Correct.
Clown was the
Oh, yes.
but she has actually whole new tech that the
Of
Clown
course,
doesn't have.
of course.
We'll touch on that a bit later.
Yeah.
But this was
Над ней
really
больше
nice. We wanted to
работали,
have
ну,
some
типа,
moments of
новую
absolute,
технологию
anger,
применили с
hostility,
изменением
super
лица.
aggressive, and we wanted to have moments when it's like,
Какой
literally
сегодня
just
ты.
pure sadness and despair,
Я сегодня
which, again,
был
goes to show that
вот
we're all
такой
very
от того, что не мог в
balanced
Человека-паука
individuals.
поиграть.
Yeah, so that's really cool, and for you it's fun because
даже
always
Attack
get to
Scream
do
7.
faces. So.
That's super fun to kind of develop the character and her personality. And yeah, this is the final
И
concept.
финальный,
So we,
соответственно,
brushed up on her costume
наброс.
and worked out the hair and all the different shards and placement of all the different details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and
Со
again, it's
осколками и
usually,
прочее.
in my experience, I'm the old man here.
Ну,
You have a long
расчётаненький.
process of concept, and then we go not this one, this one, not this one, this
Yeah.
one.
Клоун
And with
улыбается,
you, that seems
то улыбается,
to
то
not
грустит.
happen.
Ну, вот с
It's
клоуном,
sort of
да.
frustrating.
Они
Definitely
упоминают то,
happens.
что
Well, no, but in
на
this,
клоуне еще
this
добавляли.
is the. I remember this is pretty much the first image that I saw of her, and everybody went, "Yeah, that's the one we're doing." Like it's not like you make 50 and then we go.
Мэтт
Yeah,
говорит,
this one is
это
not
был
as bad as the
первый
other."
как раз концепт, который ему показали, и
I think
типа
because the structure
на планерке,
of the
да, и они все
concept
такие,
is
да,
developed
мы
really
делаем
good.
этого
Yeah.
маньяка,
So
да, мы
even if
сделаем
the
такие.
details change, the overall structure stays the same. So maybe the concept doesn't look, but oh my gosh, we went through iterations and iterations of cut placement and
Oh, yeah.
the limb
technical
angles
side,
and all the all the little details.
But I mean, this is gorgeous.
Что с их микрофоном? Он
Ended up
очень
being
громко
one of the-
настроен, потому что целых 4 человека
Again,
в
I keep
комнате
saying that
сидит.
every time we release original chapters, but I think every time we release an original chapter,
Поэтому, когда
it's
они
the best
начинают
stuff.
говорить громко,
Yeah,
ну и
yeah.
случаются
Always
перегрузы.
look forward to the next one too.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a slight sneak preview. These are sort of the
В
first
петличке? Разве?
variation possibilities for
Раньше у них такой же
the
АТ-2020, как
variations
у
on
меня
the
был.
first outfit for this character.
Yeah.
You didn't do those
Yeah,
to
these were
give
the-
people justice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Прикольно еще были
It's just
концепты
a
с
matter of
какими-то
trying to find ways
следами
to
крови или
slightly modify the look like we do with every
иероглифы,
costume.
но решили не добавлять.
The first one I think is.
Ну да, у них
entities
петлички у
speak.
всех,
I'm not
правда.
sure. I'm not an
Yeah,
expert.
it was definitely entity speak.
So, P.S. Fix, I'm sorry for mangling your name. We appreciate you. But it's hard. It's hard. Do something simple like
Спецфиксы
stick
там не
for it.
заметили.
Okay. I think we have, do we have other concepts?
Еще
Or we
концепты
going
какие-то?
to Eric right now?
Going
So-
to modeling.
Теперь
All right.
к
So
моделированию.
once you're done with that, you just give it to Eric, and Eric goes, "Ooh, cool! I get to do that."
Yeah, pretty much.
Типа дали
That's
ему
your
концепт, он
regular
It's
такой,
always,
я
it's
буду
like
это
Christmas
рисовать.
every time I get a cool concept.
Моделировать,
So
вернее.
you've been on the team. Just a quick backstory. You've been on the team for a little
Since
longer.
about the Huntress.
Okay.
So
Он
I
в
worked
команде с
on the Lullaby
охотницей,
chapter.
примерно.
So
Yeah.
David King and the Huntress.
You're David King. You did David King.
I made
Oh my
David
God! You
King,
probably
yes.
have a few more. Now.
I'm
Делал модельку
probably
Дэвида.
the only one that's seen him fully naked. So
Наверное, он единственный,
I know
кто
some
видел его
model
полностью
at
голым.
home.
that's
work.
yes, of course.
It's on your personal portfolio.
Yes.
Password protected.
But definitely we get a cool concept, and we usually, that's kind of the process that we start with, is we will build the character from scratch because of all the cosmetics in the game. We
Моделируем
want
снова,
a solid base.
Yeah.
соответственно.
So yeah, with the spirit, well, I mean, it's pretty
Прикольная моделька.
self-explanatory. I mean, the base is what you see
Волосы
there,
вообще.
and any future cosmetics will probably be additive.
But that's the thing is, every time we create a character, we always create them naked now. We didn't
Yes.
used to do that.
No,
But
originally.
doing that allows us to create
Создают сейчас
any kind of
персонажей полностью голыми для начала,
And
потому
it
что
helps with
чтобы
consistency.
потом
Actually,
добавить
we do
кастомизацию
get
проще было,
Yes,
изменять и
they do
добавлять
Every single
кастомизацию. Раньше
character
они
has
этого не
underwear, and
делали.
we do put some
Раньше
thought
персонажи создавали
into
сразу
what
с одеждой.
underwear these
типа.
characters should have.
I know some sneaky data miners out there. I found a few of them.
but she doesn't, because that's pretty much all there.
Yeah, that's pretty much all there is, right?
The hair is an interesting bit. Let's talk about that for a second.
So, we'll actually get on the hair a bit later. Right now, this is mostly this is the Sculpting Pass. So, what you're seeing here is kind of, I've gotten the concept from Christoph, and I am essentially turning a pile of goo or a sphere into what you see here. And so we try to keep the spirit and the details and adapt it as well as possible to 3D, because there's a lot of things that look super cool in 2D that don't translate as well when you... Yeah. So with her, it was definitely trying to
концепт
really
перевести
nail that
сложнее,
age.
чем
I know we
можно
were a
потерять
bit worried.
какие-то
We didn't
элементы,
want it to
которые
look
были
too young,
на
but we also
набросках,
didn't want it to
соответственно.
look too old. So we wanted to maintain that innocence, like you were saying earlier, while also portraying her as a grown woman.
Yeah.
And so right here, this is just kind of like the final product of the Sculpting Pass. So usually it takes about a week to a week and a half, depending on the complexity of the
Примерно
character.
полторы недели
And
делается вот такая моделька
yeah.
в 3D.
And you start texturing?
Yeah, then we start texturing. So this one specifically was a very interesting
Start
one because there
texturing, не
was a
знаю,
lot
наверное,
of
начинают текстуры
thought,
наносить, цвета и
that we
прочее.
had to put into it ahead of time.
I
So
like
I
that
was,
the toes are actually modeled crooked.
That is pretty cool.
Еще говорили только что про лицо,
yeah,
то, что
that was
старались
one of
сделать ее
the
такой
big
невинной, типа,
things
как можно
we
больше.
had to keep in mind was she was going to be cut up. She was going to have joints that dislocated. And these were all things that we had to plan for.
Yeah, and not just that, but we also made the decision early on, and that's something that people will not know until later, but every outfit also needs to show those cuts.
Exactly, yes. So with this
Каждый
one,
скин еще
the
должен
hands
показывать
were
эти
an important aspect. Some of you may have noticed that she
надрезы.
has some veins in the effects, and so I was set to make a base for that. Same thing
Да,
with
кстати,
the
он говорит
feet.
про вены, то, что
I
вены
don't
тоже
think
там
we
где-то
have
видны были.
any foot rigs in the game. Like we don't have any toe animation, so it was kind of making it creepy, while understanding that it wasn't going to distort the same way that the hands were.
Yeah. Well, the thing also
Тяжело
is I
было
had
еще,
many
говорит,
moments
сделать
when I
ноги
remember
криповыми.
early days walking behind Damien at the beginning
Что,
and going,
в отличие от рук,
"You've
их
been
бы
working on
не, ну,
those
их типа анимировать сложнее было,
shoelaces
не
for
знаю.
about 2 hours. Nobody's gonna see
На руках вены,
There are no ways
способности.
in
А, ну
the
да,
game.
вон, на
At the
руках
time
же
you didn't
видно.
have the store where you could look around people, and I'm like, it's always dark. There's grass everywhere.
Руки типа как
Nobody's gonna
оружие
see
же
those shoes.
анимируют.
Just move on to something else. But
So,
obviously,
I'm definitely guilty of that as well. I will put detail under the shoes, and no one will ever see it.
yeah.
Эй, не лагайте.
If I could, I'd add gum, I'd add whatever else. So after we're done the sculpting phase, we kind of move into the low poly phase. So this is a more technical side of it. And so what we do is we bring out this really dense sculpt. It would be the same thing as having a sculpt made out of clay or marble. So it's something that's not usable in-game. So it's up to us to kind of make a wireframe, as you see there, and try to maintain the silhouette of the
Я очень пытаюсь понять, что он говорит, потому что...
So what you see here is the killer. We usually have a budget that we try to stay in between on our characters.
Про моделирование
So we have to make
рассказывает,
sure
типа,
that
первая моделька,
Johnny's
она как,
happy
по
and
сути,
we
глиняная
don't go
фигура.
over a certain threshold. So with her,
Дальше
she's hovering around
дорабатывать.
the 35,000 mark. And that's including the hair. And so the hair is always a tricky one for us.
35 тысяч.
So I'll say
Не знаю,
hair
клеток
and the head.
примерно,
Her
что-то он сказал.
specifically, her head and her body are two separate cosmetics.
Особенно тяжело
And
говорить
so the challenge with that
волосами.
is having a nice resolution while also making sure that the head and the body work together and there's
Причем
very
волосы это
little
абсолютно
clear,
отдельная моделька.
like, visible separation between the two.
Yeah.
So with this, the hair was actually done very differently in the UVs. So the UVs is kind of the step that we do to set up how we're going to make the textures. And so her hair, I had to set it up for Isabel, our FX artist, so that she could make the beautiful flowing
like underwater kind of look to the hair.
Yes.
Do we have a visual aid for that? Yeah, there you go.
So yes, so this was the final result, but we experimented with a whole
Финальный
bunch
результат,
of
но
different
тестили
kinds
много
of
разных.
Ways to
ways
get
to
that
do it.
effect, yeah.
I know there was
Добиться этого
at one
эффекта.
point a very wiry type hair. With
I remember the very first thing I saw, which was the like nude pool noodle version,
yeah.
flailing
I'm
around.
sure Seb will talk a bit about that
Говорит,
one.
первый вариант, который показывали мы, это, например, был
We
вообще
did
похож
smoke
на
at one
макароны.
point. That- It was just kind of getting a beautiful look, but also making sure that we're not melting people's systems.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to work well on console and on every low end that's possible. So it's always a tough one.
Yeah. So after we're done the low poly stage, we move forward to the texturing stage, and that's really where the character starts shaping up. So we have a base.
Low
It's all
poly
gray.
stage, наверное,
It looks
стадия
beautiful.
низких
The details are
полигонов.
there. But now we have
Дальше
to adapt
детализируют уже.
the spirit of what the concept artist was trying to portray. So with her, it was a very kind of ethereal, ghostly look that's kind of an in-between between a ghost and a zombie, but not so far that you think she's a zombie.
Что-то между призраком и зомби, но не настолько сильно, что вам кажется, что она зомби.
And so this is the final stage of the outfit one. So we definitely did a lot of work on making sure that all the gore and the
Ну,
wraps
соответственно,
and
классический скин,
even
очень
in the
старались
chest area,
показать
there's like
все
there's a
ранения.
glow that I don't know if you've seen it in the game, but in certain dark areas, you can see a nice
Whoa.
ethereal moving glow, which is a really
What?
cool part of the character, I find.
I like you can see the
В
rib
темных
back.
помещениях
Yeah,
реально можно заметить, что она вот так
But
немного
yeah, so
светится.
this is definitely where we go through iterations. I mean, she was pale at one point, she was blue at one point. I think she was a little too green at one point.
Интересно, надо будет
go through
протестить
this.
потом.
So, someone's asking, and they are correct, do you guys project the details of the high poly onto the low poly?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's exactly what's
That's
happening.
exactly. So the initial stage, before we even start all the color and the painting, we do what's
Переносят
called the
с
bake.
хай-поли
And what that is
стадии,
that's
короче,
essentially
текстуры на
Light
лоу-поле. Я не
trickery
знаю, что
that
это
makes
значит.
a map of the high resolution details onto this mesh that will work in game, essentially. So it's kind of tricking your eyes into seeing all these little details and all this depth
Well, these
on the character.
details, oftentimes, when you see them, especially like this, the very fine sculpting ends up with just being a line of shadow or a highlight somewhere.
Exactly, yes.
So
yes.
it's the exact same thing whether it's painted on or whether it's modeled, almost.
Yeah.
So for the fine details, and it's trying to find the right place to put that slider to see like how much detail are we actually going to put in the model and how much can we get away with just
Exactly,
baking it
yes.
in the texture. Are the PTB model of the spirit
Ой, божечки.
finished, or will the model be tweaked again?
Ой, божечки, не кричи так.
I don't know. I think that's
Well, usually
we have-
we're pretty much
Ну,
done
это крик,
at that
по-моему, во
stage.
время мемента видно,
We
да?
fix bugs.
Вот
Yeah.
лицо.
Like,
Yeah,
or
for sure,
issues
for sure.
if they have to do with gameplay. Like if they have an impact on gameplay, let's say the character is way too visible because of a texture, maybe we'll tone it down or something.
Yeah.
But
I know definitely we always keep our eyes out for anomalies. I know we have a lot of variables in our game, so it's hard to catch them all, but anytime that we see something either clipping or something's not moving right, if someone catches it, I know for a lot of the characters that I've worked on, if I see something that looks kind of weird, I'll always bring it up to someone like Seb and I'll say, hey man, can we just kind of investigate this and see if we can do a fix?
Говорит по поводу эффектов, если, например, что-то выглядит странно немного или слишком ярко, например, издалека, слишком видно, всегда могут что-то это поменять.
Well, beheading is actually a category in and of itself for a lot of ratings. Just as a start.
Like the game would be probably banished in
It's already pretty high up in the ratings.
Вообще приходится продумывать очень сильно, типа, с рейтингом, чтобы не слишком...
I'm gonna talk about the expressions a little bit, because I know that was new tech that we
не слишком высокий рейтинг был к игре. Он и так 18, да, этот, или 17 плюс, я не помню. Adult.
Started from veins. So we knew the veins were going to be a thing.
Вот, но все равно приходится следить за
we wanted to get that veiny effect
слишком жестко.
But we also thought to ourselves, what if we added a map that was tied to her facial expression? So when she had her mouth open, she would have the wrinkles that you normally get in your face. When she had her mouth closed, like when she had a sad expression, she would kind of have all those little details. Because normally what we would do is you would use a blend shape with a very high dense mesh, but most games can't support that. Most games it's too costly. And so what we ended up doing was tying it into the normal map, and Johnny tied it into our material and set some constraints so that when pose A was hit, normal map A triggered. When pose B was hit, normal map B was triggered, and then if it was somewhere kind of in between, it would blend the two. And so it gave some pretty interesting effects, I think.
Yeah.
Сейчас рассказывал по поводу лицевых анимаций, того, как они сменяются. Я не совсем понял. Что-то, видимо, про переход от одного лица к другому, чтобы это выглядело очень так резко.
I've seen a few questions about the Mori and the sounds in it, which are missing in the PTB version that people saw. She's supposed to scream in it.
Она все-таки должна кричать во время момента моря. На ПТБшке нет этого звука.
Sounds are always the last ones in, and sound designers are often very upset because then they don't have enough time to do everything, and then they
Звуки всегда делаются последними, поэтому звуковые, работники по звукам, они говорят всегда очень грустно, потому что они ничего не успевают сделать в конце игры, в конце разработки, их подгоняют очень сильно. Соответственно, звуки еще не были готовы к релизу, к ПТБшке.
And so right now in the textured file, the glass is pretty plain because how we decided to do it was we created an actual glass shader. So that was Johnny that created that. And so that's a new way that we're going to be doing things potentially.
But the thing is that glass, the annoying thing about glass is that it looks like absolutely nothing by itself.
It does, and it also reflects.
But that's it. And it's got no itself, it's just a reflection of what's around.
Yes.
Super annoying.
And so that's actually the cool thing about the tech that Johnny developed was we've actually plugged in the individual maps to the glass shader so that whatever map you're in, it should be reflecting the environment to an extent. So it kind of helps to tie her into the environment a bit better.
Говорят, на стеклах отражается карта.
So we actually have a cube map for every single map in the game now.
Yeah, correct.
Which is not something we were doing because we didn't really have anything that was reflective enough to warrant something like that. But it might be used again. So a cube map for those lay people out there, essentially you make a cube of textures that have different colors on each side, and when you reflect something, you go reflect whatever's on that cube instead of trying to reflect the whole environment, which would essentially require you to re-render the whole scene. So you just make a very simplified
как механика это делает, они делают какой-то куб карты, видимо, какой-то небольшой, который и соответственно частями отражается в стекле.
Sneak peek at the
Опа, престиж.
So generally, how it works when we create a new character is we have the prestige that we do.
Не надо было
And I know a lot
прокачиваться.
of players have been asking for prestige on everything, which is something we would love to do, but the way we are doing it right now is it's currently time-consuming.
Yeah, and it's also tied to the first outfit.
Yes, generally it is tied to the first outfit. And so what we do is we do a second pass in the sculpt, which I don't have an example here, but we do the same process kind of, where we bake the gore bits into the low res, and then we adapt it onto the character textures, essentially.
Little chunks of flesh.
I know one of the problem areas is generally the neck. I know on the survivors, especially the older ones, they had that quite significantly, where if you put the prestige.
Не знаю, ни хрена, 3D-моделирование, он рассказывает о том, как они накладывают эти элементы престижа на модельку.
We're trying to kind of leave a safe zone in those areas to kind of help blend prestige in with any future cosmetics you want to kind of pair with it.
Does the prestige modify the katana in any way? Well,
Yes.
there's 3 pieces, like every guy.
Престиж влияет на катану,
So
вопрос был,
the
да.
killers,
Катана
it's
тоже
generally
кровавая.
2 parts of the body, and the weapon are the prestige. And so with her, she has prestige on her little
Престиж там на осколке
shard
на
on her
руке.
hand, as well
Я
as
уже
the full
добирался до
katana
него.
when it's
И
in
на
the-
катане тоже.
But so the 3 parts of the character in this case, she's cut at the neck, right?
Yes. So these are just
More renders?
Yeah, some renders of the
Так, а это что?
nice little cosmetics.
Это в
that we did
скинцах
for the
будет?
outfit one. Just add some variants.
Походу это в скинцах.
So I know
будет, да.
this one, the first one was entity speak, and so it's a lot of entity symbols.
Первые были символы
People will
сущности,
then
говорящая
try to
сущность.
decipher.
Второй-
Definitely. The other one was heavily influenced by the kabuki, kind of just the kabuki motif. So
второй
it
это
was a
кабуки
very
мотив.
fun one to work on.
Японский какой-то. Кто такие кабуки?
And then this one's my personal favorite. It was, the idea here was kind of to have a very
Один из видов традиционного театра в Японии,
caustic
ладно.
effect. So kind of like water
И,
and
короче, нам
glass
еще и всю
in
кастомизацию
a sense.
проспойлерили, которая будет на релизе.
Caustic for those people out there who are not art
Это
majors.
прикольно выглядит.
It's
Какой-то
the
космический.
shimmery weird effect you see usually
космическое.
when you look in the water and you see some weird shapes of the light underneath.
Эффект называется caustic эффект. Это когда ты типа эффект, когда ты
And
смотришь
this is
на
her weapon. So this was actually made
на
by
воду,
Isaac.
типа на водную гладь и
So I
видишь
was super
отражение.
busy on the killer for the entire time we were developing her. And so Isaac, one of our new character artists, actually came in and he really knocked this one out of the park.
I mean, everybody seems to have a beautiful
Моделька меча
origin
какой-то новый
story
дизайн.
here where, you know, the first thing I got asked to do on this project was this amazing thing, and it's just pretty much everybody. You started work on the Lullaby, which was the best chapter we had ever done at that time, until we did the curtain call, and until we did this. The katana is kind of fun because it is broken into so many pieces, but it's still held together. Which
Катана
is,
прикольная, потому что типа разбитая на много кусочков, но все равно держится.
like the character.
Exactly like the character.
There's a spirit to it, as one might say. How long does it take you guys to design these killers?
Как
Was she
долго
already
вы
in development when the
разрабатываете
clown
этих
was
киллеров,
launched?
соответственно? Разрабатывали ли вы ее,
We
когда
generally
запустили
start
полную
a
уже?
new chapter as one of the chapters is getting close to release.
So are you
Мы
saying that
начинаем-
right now you guys may be working on the next chapter?
Новую главу уже примерно тогда,
let's
когда,
move on to
когда
animation.
предыдущую выпускают. Соответственно, сейчас, возможно, они уже работают над
I'm
новой
following the
главой.
notes
Боже
that
мой.
Johnny sent me notes saying you need to touch on these points. So yeah, we talked about the glass, we talked about the wrinkle map blending, the
we can jump
weapon,
on that now.
and the hair. Okay, so go on.
All right. Well,
А теперь по
after
анимации.
it's gone through
После
concept
того,
and
как все
modeling, then it
модельки,
falls onto
концепты
my lab,
моделей
which is the
доделаны.
technical animation aspect. So the process I do is called rigging, which bear with me, everyone. This is going to get a little technical heavy.
Очень много технических будет говорить терминов. Нам уже как-то это показывали на другой модельке. По-моему, он как раз показывал нам, как он работал над армией, если я правильно помню.
So what we're looking at right now is actually the rig for the spirit. And here I'm just doing a quick demonstration of some very basic features that a rig should have, such as arm controls and things like that.
Работает с
ригами. We see now is
That's the crazy bit.
Yeah, this is the crazy bit, the technical challenges that I had to overcome. Because she was cut in so many different ways, I needed the arms to still basically function like arms, but then at the same time disjoint themselves and move any way possible. So you can see here, I put a nice little function in the elbow. So this elbow, you can move it infinitely far away from the rig, and it will still operate like an elbow.
Типа можно убрать локоть, но он все равно будет работать вместе с рукой.
Or no, it was Cousin It was the hand.
No, Cousin It is the guy that's just hair.
Yeah, the hair.
And then it was the
Thing.
Okay.
Thing.
Sorry. We got a little sidetracked there.
That's fine.
Next killer confirmed?
No, it's not.
So here I'm just demonstrating that I did this for all the cut areas, in which in the final game you guys will notice to help with that disjointed feeling, I actually put in dynamic simulation at those little points of articulation for the cuts, so that people in the store, when they like move her around, the cuts will actually have a secondary jiggle and motion, based on the PC performance. And here at that center cut was very interesting. I had to write a mel expression that basically would open and close as the torso would twist. And I gave a little extra controllers there too in case animators wanted like extra things of articulation.
Yummy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, when I was building that, I had fun making it like make Pac-Man movements.
Даже там какие-то движения оставил специальные для аниматоров,
DVD.
если они там захотят что-нибудь добавить.
Side Pac-Man. So here we can go into the facial system. So when I saw that original concept for the facial panel, I started to panic a little bit because I'm like, how will I ever make faces?
Как я вообще буду делать лица, подумал.
Because how most faces are done is with, we see here now me playing with the facial controllers.
Как только ему сказали, что надо будет
That's a huge
side
subject, so I'm going to skip that. But basically, video games can't do that. It's very costly. So I had to kind of fake it with mel expressions and joints. So she has probably the most amount of joints in the face than any killer, which allowed her to get these very interesting facial expressions. As you can tell, I tried to be very thorough with the controllers. I'm not going to lie, this took me quite a bit of time to get it down. Because normally with blend shapes, it'd be super easy. It'd be like just a couple days. This took a while.
Долго это дело, говорит.
Between the two of us.
Yeah, because after I had created these controllers for the animators to get dermal poses, I had to then pose out the facial expressions from the concept art and give it back to Eric so he could do the high res models of that facial expression.
Контроллеры для аниматоров.
It's like a wrinkle map, I guess, or...
Yeah,
Нормально с лицом играется
вообще. And then in which
вообще.
case, we would then assign to the animation sequence in the game, and that's how we got these beautiful facial expressions. And now she is doing the rock.
Yes.
So, as you can tell, I was very, very thorough, including...
Do you smell what the spirit is cooking? I like that, yes.
She can jiggle her nose.
Well, I wanted to be very, very thorough, so I was like, I even gave her little nose and nostril controls. So that pretty much sums it up. And after I'm done with this rigging process...
То есть там даже можно просто ноздри контроллера есть, вот эти два по центру, левая, правая.
Well, you've probably all seen her animations, which they are beautiful and breathtaking, created by our wonderful team of animators of David Pondovang, Kit, and Ricardo.
And we have new people coming in.
Yes.
So many new people. We have some new animators coming in. They're going to have a blast working with new stuff is coming that I will shut up about.
Yep. Next. Oh, I forgot to, this also too is the...
Говорит, у них много новых сотрудников, что заметно реально, потому что новый персонаж, он просто не похож на всех других.
So, like, a big challenge of being a technical animator is you always kind of have to pre-predict what animators would want.
Yeah.
But luckily, I was originally an animator, so I have a little bit of an idea.
And you always have to be careful also, because it's easy to fall into that rabbit hole and just do stuff it's like anything. It's like over-engineering.
Yeah.
Doing something that's way too complicated for what it needs to be. So, yeah.
We've had a lot of fun with some of the tech that Seb's come up with.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Говорит, главное не переборщить и не сделать слишком много.
Moving on, you have other stuff that you wanted to show in there.
Yes. More.
Okay.
Еще что-то
So
покажите.
this is early tests. All right. So before, as you guys can imagine,
What?
the rigging takes a while, and of course the concept modeling and things like that. But game design, of course, can't wait for forever. They need to test these ideas, see if they work, test visual effects, things like that.
Yeah.
So we have to use placeholders sometimes while the model and concepts are being solidified.
Well, that's it. We need to be able to play this and check that the power makes sense. And these guys are still starting the model, so this happens.
Yeah. So here we have Freddy in the placement of the spirit.
The reason why we picked Freddy is simply because he's about the same size.
Yeah,
Это Фредди вместо духа, когда они разрабатывали духа, чтобы проверить, чтобы чекать способность, как она будет
I was
работать.
very nervous about how. Yeah, I was very basically nervous how dynamics would function.
Взяли Фредди, потому что моделька ближе к
leaves a husk and then teleports to a new
типа
location.
похоже.
So you can see here now ghosts like
Не такая,
multiple
небольшая
Freddy with
моделька.
New cosmetic for Freddy? No.
Super Freddy.
Новая косметика, да, новые шмотки для...
And so if you go to the next video now, you'll see the second phase that is, and these effects are all created by our amazing visual effects artist, Isabel. She works magic. And here we can see we're playing more with different ideas of how the passive power would work.
И это они типа разрабатывали пассивку фазирования.
Exactly. And you can also see on this video early prototypes of the hair. So we're moving away from the cape now into other dynamic type tests for the hair. And as you can see, the tests don't go so well as the hair tends to
это не плащ, это на самом деле волосы.
As I've been told. Or a carousel.
Походу.
And so now on that next video, you can see a more finalized version of the spirit, with her using her powers very close to how it would look in game. Of course, at this stage, obviously, we have the final model, and animations are in their first passes.
Это уже, соответственно, финальный тест.
Which animations always go through multiple changes and passes through development.
Блин,
I kind of wish I had video of like her original run, because it was very much different than how it is. Like her when we were first like trying to figure out how does she move.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you guys, I'm sure everyone has seen on the PTB, her locomotion and all that look amazing. Like David did a really good job on that.
Yeah. No, it turned out really, really well. I think that wraps it up for us. Is there anything?
В итоге, да, все получилось реально очень круто.
I know, give a shout out to the environment team.
Yes, yeah.
New vegetation and material updates for better normal maps. Okay.
Эрик сказал только, что еще хотелось бы упомянуть команду окружения, environment, видимо, те, которые карту делали, не знаю. Большая команда.
People out there will tell us if they enjoyed it as much as I did.
Надеюсь, что людям тоже понравилось сегодняшний стрим.
How we do what we do and a bit of why.
Показали, как мы делаем, что и почему.
You all good? Say hi to François. Oh, hi. Some people love you, François. Most people do.
Привет,
The others just don't know you yet. Okay, would it be possible that she had a hole in her stomach? Just a big hole, like a compound under the dragon.
Есть ли возможность сделать ей большую дыру в животе?
Maybe, I guess.
Nothing's impossible.
No,
but
actually, I've seen some other killer with a big hole in it. Oh, I can't say that? Okay.
It's to the future.
But yeah, we could have done that.
Говорит, вообще я уже видел одного убийцу с большой дырой в животе, но, блин, наверное, не стоило этого говорить. Может быть, в будущем.
Well, the slices definitely, when we're creating them, we're trying to put a lot of logic and story.
Ну, разрубленные конечности, такие чисто ранения, как-то больше подходят в данном случае.
That's why the teaser video, which actually was probably our most watched and discussed teaser ever, as a very powerful 17 seconds and a slight misdirection. But it was, it really...
Жаль, нельзя Фредди в кастомайз плащ добавить. Я думаю, это будет выглядело бы так смешно.
Well, that's a bug. We will put it in the list. Oh, thank Liren is saying thank you for making DBD. Love it. You guys are amazing. Keep it up. Love you.
Oh,
well,
thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for playing.
Спасибо за создание ДБД.
But yeah, so if you have more questions, please ask them. I know that Gabrielle and Patricia are listening very closely to everything that you have to say, and they will make a list, and most likely they will end up being in a Q&A,
Будем создавать список, в любом случае могут попасть в Q&A и в ответы на топчики.
And let us know how you enjoyed this little chit chat that we had.
Ну, обязательно, да, рассказывайте нам, понравился ли сегодняшний стрим. Чтобы мы знали, хотим ли мы делать такие же стримчики.
I still don't know what I'm dressing up as. I might just stick my teeth in. I don't know. Do you have any plans for Halloween? Okay. Will you guys look at Fang's David Tab cosmetic that have clipping clothes? Yes. We when we spot those, we put them in the bug fix list. Some are easier than others to look at. Can we know who voiced the spirit? That is an exceptionally good question.
Духа?
I do not have the answer to it at this moment. I believe it was 2 people.
It was, and I believe one of them is in the chat right now.
We will have them on.
Вроде как 2 человека озвучивали.
We will
Один
have
из
them on
них
the
сейчас
show
в
at
чате.
some point.
Когда-нибудь покажем.
We usually have someone just pass by and say, "Hey, I'm the huntress." So we had Kate
просто проходит,
last
hey,
time
привет,
to say
я
hi.
охотница.
She's right there, working on finance. So, Peanuts, I don't think it was you. I do not believe you. So there. I have a segment that I would like to get to. I didn't discuss it with
Кто-то
anybody.
хочет показать, с кем это не
We
обсуждалось.
have some stuff from around the web because it had been way too long, and I want to show you out there the really cool stuff that I
Мэтт хочет
found
арты
when I was
показать.
looking at art.
Его любимая рубрика, которой так давно не было.
So, I don't have the names with me because we're poorly set up right now. So
это же
after this, I will make sure that all the artists
Darkest
are
Dungeon.
credited correctly. This is just come on.
That's
Isn't it awesome to inspire
И это
people
Darkest Dungeon.
every day? Yeah.
Like the anger of Meg.
I always need a little more Nia.
Там же были выражения героизма и... What?
That's a good one.
That was part of a comic strip, but this was just too good.
Yeah, that's great. That's pretty
Кусочек
good.
комикса, говорит, был.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Прикольно, красиво.
Epic stuff there.
Oh yeah.
This will never stop. Never stop.
Ну все, ему теперь надо лапки сущности приделывать на этот скин.
Oh wow, I like that too.
Really cool.
Just taking a stroll.
Ей надо поприседать еще.
Style come true, but with her
Стилистика забавная.
it's precious.
Yeah, it's crazy how many different styles you see.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
Yeah. Got Jake's long hair with the.
Джейк очень странный.
That was a beefy boy.
A swole trapper.
Yeah.
Это какой-то God of War вообще. Перекачанный Кратос.
Oh, nice. Is that with traditional art, I guess?
Someone just got inspired. That was one of the first ones. Literally, that was 24 hours after the PTB opened up.
Это один из первых вообще артов, который просто там
первый
день
in
появился.
the game, I just got an answer right now. In the game, it is actually Gabrielle.
Yep.
Okay.
And in the trailer, it was Isabelle. There we go.
Над Квина озвучивала Духа в игре. А Изабель озвучивала, короче, что-то в трейлере.
Nice.
That's really nice. The graphic.
Yeah.
Где моя маска? Магазин, пришли мне мою маску уже.
This is actually my my
great.
desktop. Because I just love it too much.
Что-то это какой-то прям токийский гуль. Лол.
That's cute.
Скревший.
On the last one, just because I read somewhere at some point, someone had said they were working on a cosplay for the candle raid, and I've not seen pictures of that. And if that actually happened and someone made that costume, I want to see pictures.
Кто-то обещал, что, короче,
Chase them
сделает
down gently and
косплей на
respectfully
вот
and take a
этого
picture,
призрака.
please.
Но если вы уже сделали, пришлите,
Now they're gonna be,
пожалуйста,
like,
фоточки.
attacked in
говорит
next
Мэтт.
con.
Yeah, hopefully.
Косплейчики.
That's cool.
Is that at this year's Comic-Con?
I think it was at Gamescom, but I'm not sure.
Вроде как с
Some
Gamescom.
things are tough to track down.
Nice.
Японские школьницы. О, бедный Двайт. Некому тебя спасти, как всегда.
It's so cool.
Oh, wow.
Татухи.
Again, some very nice dedication.
Yeah. I'm always impressed when I see Dead by Daylight tattoos. We appreciate the love. For sure.
We certainly do. I think that
Прикольно,
Sarah is the
конечно.
one that is completely baffled every time that literally the stuff that she drew, like the icons and things like that, end up on people's skin.
Yep.
Эти Двайты.
Love it.
Как норм. Но не канон у нее, типа,
There's a
платье
bunch because it
фуловое.
had been a
What a
while.
pretty hag. Who would have thought?
Yeah. I like it though. I like they gave the wedding dress to the nurse too.
This is perfect.
Oh wait, that's okay.
Это прям почти лицо Морти из Рика и Морти. Такое.
Nice. That's a good one.
Ну, не ключ, надо было ей фонарик, мне кажется,
Yeah.
дать.
Attitude.
Хотя...
I love this one.
Again, I'm not sure what the backstory is on this one, but it's so good.
This one's part of the-
Блин, надо вентилятор в игру добавить, антинурсу специально.
As a
Розовый
on
тем.
Twitter.
На следующий летний ивент.
Again, I don't have the full story of this, but
I don't either, but I fully approve.
yeah. So yeah, I know we didn't credit the artists because I don't have the names there, but we'll make sure that we post this. Hopefully, we're gonna put a section in the forums, and we'll make sure that the names are there.
Да, и
I apologize for the
в
artists.
этот раз
and
Мэтт
the
не
first
называл
one, usually in the
художников,
live event,
но
make sure
выложим
to
на
credit
форумах, и там все
artists
напишем,
properly.
кто
I
там
think
что это
we
делал.
can all agree that that's kind of important,
Sure.
and we will make sure that they get the proper recognition. Other than that, there's a thing that you put up that
Yes.
the mods want to put a link to. It's a really cool little widget. I think that you and Damien put that in your personal portfolios when
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
that for most of the killer and stuff, but it's a little viewer in Marmoset where you can check all the
Exactly,
different
yeah.
meshes and all the texture paths and everything. It's super cool. So yes, I think that Shiroku just posted it. Thank you very much.
Футболка, кстати,
Someone
прикольная.
is asking, is the spirit go into the spirit world as the wraith or the nurse, or does she go to another type of world when she uses her power? That is an extremely pertinent question for Dave.
It's a Dave question.
Yes.
That is totally
Вопрос для
Dave
Дэйва,
question.
говорят, типа, дух входит в тот же мир призраков, в
Someone wants
который,
your shirt, Eric.
соответственно, колокольчик уходит, или же нет, или
I
у
don't
нее
know if
какой-то
they
свой
just wanna know
собственный
where you got that
призрачный мир.
shirt, or they actually want your shirt.
Like off your back.
We could maybe, raffle it or something for charity. Get the shirt off
В
of
чате
Eric's
тоже
back
говорят,
for
футболку
charity.
ему надо разыграть.
I don't know. We'll see. But that design, you see the little behavior thing, that was actually given out to all behavior employees a couple of weeks ago.
Недавно
I think
раздали
this
эти
design,
футболки
this pattern was actually made by the
разработчикам.
son of the owner of behavior.
That is correct.
А дизайн был сделан сыном владельца компании Behavior.
So
Вот
there.
так вот.
Oh, okay. So that wraps it up for us.
Ну, собственно,
If you have
сегодня
any more
все.
questions, as I said,
Очень долгий стрим получился, 55 минут. Давно у них таких долгих стримчиков не было.
Answer them or get the answers for you. We are gonna be at TGS in a little over 2 weeks. It's gonna be
Примерно через 2 недели они
crazy,
будут
I'm
находить,
sure. I'll bring
приедут
back a
на
lot of
какой-то
really cool pictures
TGS.
for you guys because you're not coming. You have work to do.
Bring us some souvenirs.
I might. Yes. And other than that, words of wisdom. Do you have
Слова
specific words that
мудрости
you have a moment?
какие-нибудь?
The whole world is watching you, or like 2,000 people.
Весь мир смотрит, ну или 2000 человек.
Words of wisdom.
We have tons.
We all started where you guys are. If you're interested in art and the game industry, honestly, just work hard and you'll get to where
Мы
we're
все с чего-то начинали,
hard.
типа
Really? That's the simplest secret.
тяжелее,
have fun.
больше
Don't
работать,
forget to have fun.
если хотите
It's always
чего-то
work hard.
такого достичь.
In the end, you have to put in the hours.
Always.
For sure.
It's not going to happen otherwise. Other than that, don't be a dick. Very
That
important.
too, that's a big one.
Can I quote you?
И, конечно же, не будьте членами.
Anything is possible. Just give it enough time.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Patient man.
Ну, а еще все
All
возможно,
right, so thank you very much for
если...
joining us again today. Thank you,
Потратить на
François,
это
for
очень много
making
времени.
this perfectly smooth
В общем, спасибо,
experience,
Франсуа, за
as
то, что
always.
помог.
Thank you to our mods in the chat.
Там со
Thank you
стримом
to
все
every single
нормально
one of you
построить,
out there, our
чтобы
players,
работал. Всем
for
зрителям, всем
being
игрокам
with us,
спасибо,
sticking
что...
with us through thick and thin, and we promise we will keep bringing you better and more
Смотрите, а
exciting
мы
content
продолжим
every
стараться
day.
приносить для вас самый лучший
That's it.
и интересный
Bye.
контент.
Bye-bye.
Счастливо.